Whew! Things are heating up in Malta. The semifinals of ESL Pro League Season 20 came. They left. The ashes have settled and our finals are set. Eternal Fire ended up making quick work of MiBR, putting a stop to the Brazilians' dominant run through the event, securing their first grand final appearance in a Tier 1 tournament. And then on the other side of the bracket, we had the much anticipated grudge match between NAVI and G2. Both teams struck decisive blows to open up the series, NAVI taking Inferno confidently, G2 barely scraping through a nuke victory, all of it to come to a head on Ancient, where NAVI showed why they are the scariest and best team in the world, with JL running G2 straight out of the server. The finals are set, NAVI taking on Eternal Fire. Let's talk about how we got there. But before we do, make sure you guys take a second, leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It helps out immensely in the YouTube algorithm, so thank you for doing it. My name is LionHeartZ. Welcome back to the channel. Let's go ahead and get this recap started. Okay, so when talking about MiBR taking on Eternal Fire, let's start a little bit broad. I have to say that MiBR had a very good run in this tournament where both Insani and Safe looked insane routinely in all of their games, and the overall team play and aggression, the vibes around MiBR were very, very good. Coming into the series, I expected that to continue. The reality is, on both of these maps, Eternal Fire did a very good job of not allowing MiBR to run away with their momentum. I think we saw that pretty clearly on the first half of Nuke, where even though MiBR started off by winning the pistol round and gaining some early momentum, as soon as Eternal Fire got on the board, they literally won the rest of the half, 9 straight rounds, where it felt like MiBR was stuck in a lot of rounds not even being able to compete. Like here on round 5, where MiBR want to push the pace a little bit, they're going straight into the fast upper, they're going to blow open Squeaky, they're going to smoke out Mini, and then they walk straight into the meat grinder. Eternal Fire wiped them off the board, not even conceding a single pick back towards the Brazilians, forcing Burnson into an immediate save. And this led to an unfortunate cycle for the rest of the half, where MiBR cycled between saving, then immediately getting bodied on their gun rounds, then having to save again, and never really being in a position where they could chain multiple buys together despite the loss bonus. On one of those full bot rounds, like here on round 7, I really like how Eternal Fire approached their aggression on the CT side. They're going to play very fast through a ramp, with Wakadia adding on the pressure through the hut. And as soon as they cash out exit and get this lobby control, it's pretty much spoiled the strategy for MiBR. They want to do an outside into upper A pinch, and they're still on T-roof setting up for that, and they still end up trying to go for that in the end. They want to use the Molotovs and the flashes to enable Insani to come through Mini, but with no lobby presence, Eternal Fire don't have to bother worrying about that at all. They can fully focus on Insani, which doesn't give them any room to try and make the attack work. And of course, Woxic has to drop the double just to rub a little bit of salt in the wound. Skipping ahead to their next buy round, I do think MiBR get pretty unlucky here, but it's also because of how Eternal Fire have set up their defense. MiBR are still hell-bent on getting this early exchange towards Squeaky to try and get some upper control, and they do a lot of damage to Wakadia, both through the hut wall and through the smoke and Squeaky, but Wakadia gets the lucky spray on exit through the smoke for the pick. Meanwhile, Wakadia has used all of this noise to walk through ramp into trophy, tuck himself in the corner, and Safe has no idea what hit him, and now MiBR are forced into a 3v5, they have no map control, and they have to try and make something happen. Now, even though this is a dire situation, I think MiBR almost make a really cool call here. We're going to go over to our refrag demo viewer, link in the description, and we're going to take a look at what they try to do with these smokes outside. Okay, so MiBR aren't initially going to just go straight out to the save, they want to see if they can try and make something work with the resources they have left. The problem is that Calyx just smoked out Trophy, which has pushed them all the way back and out of lobby. They had Insani who was lurking around outside, so they have some intel that at least he hasn't seen anything Big Garage, he hasn't spotted Woxic or anything, so they know there is a little bit of a gap outside they can try and work with their remaining smokes. And what I like here is they are going to pull some attention away from Eternal Fire, but the problem they're going to run into is with how Eternal Fire have set up for this round. Woxic is playing the Omp all the way downstairs looking towards Secret. So when they do position outside and drop meets up with Insani, they're going to throw the outside cross smokes so that they can try and keep Eternal Fire wondering if they're going to try and creep outside the Secret. These smokes go up, Wakadia going to look to it, he's going to make that call out that Woxic needs to be spotting for this. The problem is, with Woxic already here downstairs, they essentially, Eternal Fire doesn't have to worry about this whatsoever, because if Woxic makes the contact, he can take the first shot and fall back. So they know that outside is always going to be covered, especially with Zontaris here in Hell and Heaven. Great also to shoot towards the outside if he needs to, and Wokadia and Major can focus on holding A while Calyx holds ramp. So as MiBR work back towards inner, they have a choice. They can make towards ramp where Calyx is likely to be by himself. The problem is, as we'll jump back into game to see, they don't use the rest of their utility in a way they think that could have been helpful. But I do like this. I like the idea of smoke outside, draw some attention away if you're MiBR, give yourself a chance to try and manufacture a 3-on-1 somewhere so that you can take map control. I think throwing these smokes here ended up being really smart. Eternal Fire, we're just playing one step ahead, and this Woxic opping downstairs is a brilliant move because Woxic went down there at the beginning of the round while Calyx pushed into Trophy. The problem ultimately is that Burnson has 2 flashes, and instead they choose to just play kind of this contact into ramp. They don't seem fully committed. I think if they just double flash ramp and push and go for the trade, they could get Calyx, get down to the lower bomb site, get the bomb down, and then the round could get really interesting from there because Woxic, he might be at the double doors, he might be waiting for teammates. They have a lot more room to work. Instead, they choose to kind of play with Calyx a little bit, do a couple jiggle peeks, exchange some shots, and then just go for the save. And now we pull up to probably the most painful round for MiBR on the day, and that's here on round 11, second to last round of the half. MiBR just need to try and get one win just for a little bit of morale, take some positive momentum into the second half so they can try and make this comeback work. They have a saved op on safe. The rest of his team is saving for the last round, so it's safe to be the hero that they need, and he's going to make it work. Woxic's going to come up secret. He's going to take the first pick with the op before Safe trades him out. Safe is going to work his way around outside into Big Garage, get the second kill on Wokadia as the rest of his team begin to push out of upper. Major's going to take one back on Burnson before he pushes into Hut to wait for his teammates, allowing Insani and Exit to get up on the bomb side and start thinking about a plant. Save is going to keep pushing up past Big Garage into Mini, eventually getting another op pick for his third kill of the round, but Zantares is hauling ass behind him from Secret. Zantares is first going to get the pick on Exit in the back before he properly clears this corner and takes care of Safe, who had picked up the AK off of Wokadia's body, leaving Insani in a 2v1 with the bomb down and ticking. Insani crept through Hut to wrap around Major, who had wrapped around Hut to begin with, and he's going to get the first Deagle headshot on Zantares, leaving just Calyx to make the hero play, but Calyx calls Insani's number, says you're too far away for this, and hops on the defuse, sticks it out because pros don't fake, to steal a round where MiBR literally had it won. They got all the kills they needed, but just could not stop the defuse in time. That's just kind of how this game went for MiBR on Nuke. They won both the pistol rounds, converted thereafter, and had great starts to both halves, but once Eternal Fire got on the board and got in control, it just felt like MiBR couldn't do anything to stop what they were trying to do, whether it was on the CT side or the T side. Let's go ahead and move on to the second map, Inferno. Now, normally I like to talk about these games kind of chronologically, going through rounds in the order that they happened, but we spent a lot of time talking about the issues that MiBR face in this series, so why not start on a positive note, and that's that as a team they looked way better on Inferno, especially down the stretch on the second half, and most of all, their star players seemed to get more impact and play a little bit more how we saw earlier in the tournament, including this excellent ace on round 6 by Insani, including just some dominant headshots on this 3-on-3 retake on the B site. Just great stuff from him. Again, this guy is so good. I really hope he continues to develop because he might be one of the best riflers in Brazil by the end of the year. Alright, so let's walk it back a little bit. The game started with MiBR winning the first pistol round on the CT side, and then Eternal Fire brought out this great second round force buy strat that I wanted to highlight. One of my biggest gripes with Inferno as a map is that the A site is very stagnant. There's only a handful of useful smokes, and they all tend to do the same thing. You're either going to smoke Boiler so you can push into Arch, or you're going to smoke Arch and push down lane. You're going to smoke Moto most of the time so that you can take the A site. But outside of that, taking the A site oftentimes boils down to just flashes, Molotovs, nades, contact, and hoping that it goes your way. Which is why I really like what Eternal Fire do here. They know they have the MAC-10, so they're on limited range, so they want to try and cut up these crossfires so that they could take the site effectively. Once Eternal Fire get into the apartments and get ready for this take, what they're going to do is throw 3 smokes. One from Calyx, one from Major, and one from inside of apartments. One's going to block off Arch, one's going to go to Moto, and then most crucially, they're going to throw a smoke right here into the front pit area to block off in front of truck. What this is going to do is isolate the pit player's sight line towards lane and allow all the people pushing up lane to just scoot straight into the site, deal with players here, deal with a player back site, whatever. And because they have the Moto smoke that's about to proc, they don't got to worry about the crossfire from Library or from Arch either. And now, once they have the 2 players in apartments go, the apartment players can just go straight out balcony, into pit, and now they're in the Hell in a Cell. They're locked in the cage with the pit players. The pit players are isolated by this smoke and the one at Moto, so now pit is essentially a no-go zone where the balcony players with their MAC-10s can jump in, take care of them while the rest of the lane players clear the site. This is a great way to dice up the site control, and as we'll see play out when we hop back in game, they do it very well. The smokes land, the flashes come in, and Eternal Fire just trade for the site control. They take all the picks they need, the bomb goes down, and they manage to navigate the 2v2 into a round win. I think this is a pretty creative strat, especially for pistol round and eco strats on Inferno, and this enabled Eternal Fire to take the early round momentum right out of MiBR's hands. With Wakadia at the helm, Eternal Fire would take a commanding 8-4 lead into the first half. MiBR would win the next pistol round, take the first 4 rounds on their T side, but they weren't able to make the comeback happen. One thing to highlight, and this is quite unusual, MiBR won all 4 pistol rounds in this series, but they could not convert them into any half advantages or be able to take a map off of Eternal Fire. Eternal Fire were just playing better Counter-Strike today, and they end MiBR's run 10-13 on Inferno and secure that first grand final spot. Alright, let's talk about G2 taking on NAVI. This is a very interesting matchup because NAVI has never lost to this G2 lineup since Nico joined. Add on to that Alexi B's own personal streak of having beat this G2 lineup going back to 2021, it's pretty clear this is just not that great of a matchup, and unfortunately even after all the roster changes, it has continued to not be a good matchup for G2, because at the end of the day, as NAVI have continued to just improve and improve, their fragging is not all that much worse than what G2 can put out, and the combination of Alexi B and Blade are out here playing 4th dimensional backgammon, meanwhile Snax is out here reading the How to Be an IGL for Dummies book upside down. The bottom line is, when G2 aren't swinging and banging everybody's heads off, they're not going to win tactically, and here, not only were NAVI banging everybody's heads off, they were definitely much better tactically. Now, of course, this doesn't mean that G2 wasn't throwing haymakers, especially on Nuke, as we'll cover in just a little bit, but even here on Inferno as early as round 3, where we open up the round and Imma dismantles G2's B attempt, leaving m0NESY and Hunter in a 2v4, only for them to use what I can only conclude to be the power of friendship to somehow power back this round on the A site into a 2v1 post plant with JL in the clutch. The problem being that JL was on demon timing throughout this entire tournament, and especially in this series, and he's so on fire that he cleans up this clutch easily to give NAVI their first round of the game. NAVI took that advantage and flipped it into winning 4 of the next 5 rounds, but G2 would battle back to make it a 6-6 half. But switching sides, NAVI would win the T-side pistol round and pretty much not look back. They blew the G2 defense out of the water, their protocols were so sharp, they just seemed to be able to cover everything. The trades were excellent, the setups were perfect, JL, Bit, Imma, it didn't matter, any of them could take space. And even in rounds where things would be looking to go right for G2, a lot of times NAVI just turned around and found the advantage to close it out. Like here to force match point, where they're swinging into B, Nico gets a double sprayed down through a smoke before getting traded on by JL, and JL and Bit, they power through into the site, Malbs takes down JL before Bit fires back to secure it, leaving Imma and Bit in a 2v3 post-plant situation, and you would think for sure G2 are going to be able to take this round. They have the advantage. They can take their time, work their way onto the site, trade, defuse the bomb, GG, go next. However, Imma and Bit have something to say about that, because as they swing through Smoky Banana and pushing the site, Bit takes one before getting traded out, leaving Imma alone versus m0NESY and Hunter, and he just makes it work, finding both picks in the 2v1 to get that match point, leaving G2 with not enough money and not enough utility to contest on the next round, meaning that NAVI go up 1-0 as we head to Nuke. Now, Nuke was a back and forth spectacle. There's a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, but we're going to focus specifically on the endgame sequence here. After an unusually anemic T-side ever from NAVI left them down 9-3, NAVI entered the second half on the CT side on a mission. They clawed this game all the way back, winning the first 7 of 8 rounds to bring us to a 10-10 scoreline. But it was by no means secure. Both teams are low on money, both teams have been fighting for every scrap, every little bit of map control, and each round feels like we're right on the tipping point where whoever wins might just snowball straight into victory. And G2 were looking to take the first stab at it. Here they're playing the round slow and spread out. You got Nico lurking towards outside. They threw the wall of smokes to keep their attention out there, keeping NAVI honest. They just want to slow down, play for intel, and eventually work into a late ramp hit. Wonderful was in position with the AWP in hand. He gets a very unfortunate leg on Snacks. That pick could have absolutely mattered, but now the push is on. Wonderful cleans up after his mess by taking Snacks out with the next shot. Meanwhile, Nico gets picked off elsewhere outside by Bit, but now it's time for Malbs to make his appearance, picking up the clean headshot on LexiB before flicking over to hit Wonderful with the great spray down, and now G2 are heading down lower, trying to secure the site. Hunter takes a pick into the control room, allowing m0NESY to get that bomb down, and then Malbs cleans up his third and final kill of the round on the double doors, giving G2 the momentary lead 11-10. Now it's by no means a stable win for G2, as going into the next round, not only are they broke, but so is NAVI. The balance of the game is right here. Whoever wins this round is probably going to force a save out of their opponent. For G2, it's also their first chance to secure that crucial match point in case we need overtime. And with all that in mind, G2 are going to work their intel, play out a bunch of the round, and then bet it all on the upper A hit. And unfortunately, NAVI are going to be a brick wall. As the push comes in, the flashes, the mollies, the smokes, they go out. JL takes an immediate double from on top of the hut before Nico trades him out. Emma takes care of Nico before dying to the fire that Hunter put out there. Then Bit hauls ass up the vent, surprising Snacks in the back before Wonderful cleans up the rest of the round by taking out m0NESY. NAVI, they take a crucial round back. We're tied once again 11-11, and the money does not look good for G2. And what's crazy is that this next round could not start off any worse than it did for G2. Within the first 15 seconds, Emma blows up Squeaky and takes a double spray down on Snacks and Malbs, leaving G2 on the back foot with no extra utility in a 3v5 to fend off NAVI from hitting match point. And that's when m0NESY reminds everybody who he is. He marches out onto A site, takes care of JL, deletes Emma right after, equalizing the advantage and giving G2 access to the A bomb site. And then who else but Nico on 1 health hits an absolutely insane precision shot on Wonderful in heaven from outside before getting traded out by LexiB. The bomb goes down, we're in a 2v2. Hunter immediately starts rotating through ramp to reach around to heaven to throw off NAVI's positioning now that they know heaven might be clear with Wonderful going down. So it comes down to just m0NESY alone on the side against Bit and Alexi. They do take care of m0NESY. They start creeping forward, hop on the bomb. They have no idea where Hunter is. They hop on the defuse. Bit has to get on it because he has the kit. They're never looking for heaven, and Hunter gets the double spray down to secure match point. A perfect rotate from Hunter, an incredible call to make in that situation. And after all that, now the shoe is on the other foot. NAVI is broke, and they're trying to prevent this from going to a third map. And listen, even with having basically nothing, NAVI still nearly won this round. They do this crazy lobby push where they skirt up the ladder to surprise m0NESY on the roof, and if they just managed to finish off Malbs at the entrance in the lobby, they really might have had a great shot at winning this round, but Malbs just stays alive somehow, and G2 cleans up the kills and closes out the map, and with that, we are now moving to Ancient. Now, this video is starting to get quite long, I admit. The problem is that in between games, I think NAVI might have taken that nuke loss a little personally, because we go into Ancient, and despite this series being very back and forth and very entertaining, NAVI are not messing around. They destroy G2 13-6 on Ancient. I mean, like, no contest, including winning 9 of the last 10 rounds of the series. Just incredible dominance, all headed up by JL, who dominated this map with 20 kills, he dominated the series, and he ended up finishing across all 3 maps with 57 kills, a 1.36 rating, and moves into an uncontested first place as an individual in this tournament. He's ahead of ZywOo, he's ahead of Donk, he's ahead of everybody. This is arguably better than JL at the Major. This is the best tournament JL has played so far in NAVI. He's absolutely insane. G2 simply couldn't stop the T sign ever from NAVI once the second half started, and they had nothing left in the tank to try and contest. I do think going forward, G2 needs to look at their tactics. I think Snacks will continue to be a drag on this team, and there's so much firepower that it really sucks to say that, Because when this team is not just out-fragging everybody by orders of magnitude, it's clear that they are so tactically limited that they could concede losses to just about anybody, and when a team like NAVI shows up, it just exacerbates that issue. Alright, our grand final is set. Eternal Fire, NAVI, best of 5. Do I think Eternal Fire have a shot? Statistically, I don't think so. I think NAVI have proven that they're the best team in the world and their form just looks terrifying. But any given day, Alexi B has never won a best of 5 in his career, so he could manage to throw this one away. And if Zontaras, Wox, and Wacadia continue their performances, they call a great game under Major, then yeah, Eternal Fire, they could win it. They have a shot. But NAVI are definitely the heavy favorites. Regardless of outcome, I'll be here tomorrow to cover whatever happens, so make sure you guys leave a like, leave a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with what's going on. These videos are powered by Advanced.gg. If you take a look at the link in the description down below, go to their website, browse any of their excellent products, and decide to make a purchase. You can use my code LIONS10 at checkout for 10% off. Thank you to Advanced.gg. If you're also interested in getting into Refrag, I do have a discount code with them as well. If you decide to subscribe to Refrag, you can use my code LION15 at checkout for 50% off your first subscription. Thank you to them as well. Shout out to my channel members, Justin, Jesse, Furley, Bubblesj, Dr. Cocktor, and Milan Berta. If you want to become a channel member, you can check the link in the description. Follow me on Twitch as well. I'll see you guys soon with another recap. Peace.